So this game is supposed to be really hard or something? Who really knows? Let's see. I don't think it's gonna be that hard. Alright, level 1. Let's hop into this. Okay, what do I need to do here? Okay, I died. That's alright. I have a revive. It's alright. We'll always come back. It doesn't even matter. Okay, I just died again. Okay, this is a little hard.
One eternity later.
It's been 8 hours. It's been 8 hours, and I'm stuck on the thing. But I finally got the key, okay? I'm just going. What the fuck? Hey, welcome back to another video. And before I start anything, I just want to say a couple things. So if you look down at the bar, I have a couple chapters. This video is going to be split between 2 main points. The first is explaining why we need heroes and using evidence behind it. The second is a show review. The structure might feel a bit wonky. I am trying to do something new, so hopefully it doesn't seem too bad. But both these things do revolve around heroism, so hopefully it doesn't make it too confusing. And I would like to express my gratitude to all you people. Thank you so much for 1,000 viewers on my last video, and for all the new people who subscribed. And if you did subscribe and you're looking at this video saying, I didn't subscribe for this, well, no need to worry. My regular video essays will be up soon. I just don't really want to stand in one place and be known as a guy who makes video essays. I've always loved shows and movies, so I'd like to express my opinion on the matter and talk to fans about it too. Yeah, I have no one else to talk to about it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of nervous about making this, especially because my biggest video isn't a review. People might expect only a video essay, but here goes nothing. Heroes, that old title going back to the 14th century. We all know stories of heroes, and it doesn't just have to be old ones. It can be modern ones, like Superman, Spider-Man. Doesn't even have to be fictional. We can give that title to anyone. Someone who's great, someone who inspires others. And while I sit down and watch a show, the premise about a hero, I start to wonder, do people really need heroes? Why do people need inspiration? Well, in this first segment, I'm going to explain to you the reasons on why people need heroes. So what even is a hero? A person who is admired or idolized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities, originating from ancient Greek, meaning demigod, warrior, or brave one, where it passed by Old French and then Latin, and landing the word for the English dictionary in the 14th century. By the 16th century, the term was used for great men that showed bravery and intelligence. But the world has shifted throughout the years, aiming for someone who has a noble heart, moral courage, sacrifices, and tries their best to help the everyday person. Pretty self-explanatory, especially nowadays. Most people know what a hero is. But this topic, unlike the others, is pretty straightforward. So let's get into the evidence we need to see why people need heroes. This is something I rarely do, but when I was researching this, I didn't agree with old philosophers on this topic. So this time, I'm going to get a bit more modern with Scott Lamberg. In his article, Why Heroes Are Important, he states that heroism has been doused in morality. We call heroes those who we admire and wish to emulate, saying that heroes are a role model for people to define limits of aspiration. We define our ideals on heroes we choose, like our courage, honor, and justice. We idolize people we inspire to be, the type of person we want to be. Before I get to my next person, let me tell you about Thomas Carlyle. You see in his book on heroes, hero worship, heroic in history, he proposed the great man theory, in which he states that the biography of the world is the history of great men, that society was welded by extraordinary leaders. Now, this is only the tip of the iceberg of the book, but if you are interested, I would recommend checking it out. Suzanne Niemann, an American philosopher that used the great man theory to argue that heroism is in the eye of the holder. In this hour video at the beginning, she explains that Hitler and Stalin were heroes to the people who looked up to them. So the real question is, what does a hero mean? What is it to be a hero? Just like the quote, one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter, we'll get an understanding of what makes a hero. Well, the overarching point that she wants to make is heroism just doesn't come from someone who is super brave, but a person who can keep on going no matter what. The first point is that being a victim has become too prominent in the modern times, too glorified, that too many people have masked themselves with these problems they have endured. She used an example of a man who pretended to live in the concentration camp to popularize his book. But we should stop seeing these people play the victim and instead aim for someone who was a victim but kept on going. She says the concept of what counts is not what you do to the world, but what the world does to you is wrong. We shouldn't be pushing a misfortune, but what counts is what you have done to the world, not what the world has done to you. Now, this doesn't dismiss the victims, not at all, but it shows a better and higher level to aim for than glorifying one's own victimhood and becoming more of someone who passed a harder time to endure all those wrongs and become stronger. Her next next point is saying that the term hero is a hard one to give. She says a hero isn't a saint, but someone who tests the human experience. People who sacrifice and fight on a larger scale. It isn't just to save their own backs, but something deeper in a person. Someone who risks it all. Heroes aren't just brave souls, but have something we can't explain. The Greeks called it the divine. Max Weber called it charisma, but that wasn't right either. This one trait is what makes a hero. No one can explain it, but we can all feel it. We can all sense it. Right here, I will pause my argument and go to the review. If you don't care about the review, just skip to the end and that'll be the video. If not, continue forward. Alright, welcome back to my review rebrand? Who knows. Today I'll be making a review, but this time it's not a movie. It's a TV show based off a video game. And your immediate reaction might not be crazy. I mean, adaptations for games have been a huge trend for a long time. But what about a game that is one of the pioneers of action RPGs? The game that ended up influencing one of the most famous franchises, Legend of Zelda. A game so hard, so difficult, it made a community come together and share tips and help each other progress through the game. The Tower of Druaga. Yeah, apparently this game was a huge stepping stone in JRPGs. The popularity for it in Japan was off the charts, but it was poorly received in the US. I just found this anime scrolling around and didn't know it was based off a game until halfway through. But is the anime that's based off a beloved game really that good? Well, let's see. The arching plot of season 1 is focused on our main character Jill and his strong resolve to be a hero. You see in the game, a hero named Gilgamesh killed Druaga, saving a woman, Kai. And after saving humanity and breaking down the tower, he became king, marrying Kai and having children. But sometime later, his wife died, and then his children would either leave or end up dying too. It's never really explained. Now, to the anime. 80 years after the previous tower, a new and bigger one has emerged. Now, I won't explain this to extreme details, so it's still enjoyable if anyone decides to watch it, but hopefully I get the majority of the plot without skipping over too much. Jill, our MC, is an inspiring hero wanting to climb the tower. He joins a group, but is fired on his first day. But not giving up on his dream to climb the tower, he finds other members. It is almost like fate. This group, very unexperienced, besides one member traveling up the tower, taking a journey, and they will have to defeat several enemies and race others to the top. Besides Jill's group, we have his former group, the military, and several other climber groups. On his way up, Jill will make a name for himself, and we will get a glimpse of what seems to be a god, telling him some misfortunes might be coming soon. At the top, they will have to find a way to kill the big bad guy, but this battle wouldn't end without casualties. After killing the boss, we get a new development, that two people among the main cast will betray Jill, using the rod as a key for a tower farther up, an unknown tower called the Tower of Fantasy. Meanwhile, this happens, it seems the king has become corrupted, but no one knows why. Here we skip to season 2, where a time skip happens, 6 months. After the betrayal and the deaths of some friends, the remaining members feel spent, over with everything. But Jill isn't over it, not at all. His journey for heroism is too strong, and the curiosity of why his friends betrayed him drove him even further, far enough to believe a little girl that says she's a priestess and urges him to climb the tower again. Jill and the remaining members of his team climb up to the tower to catch up with the betrayers, and at this point, the king would fully be corrupt. This new team would soon make it back to the original tower and make it to the Tower of Fantasy. They weren't the only ones who did, and among the process, the priestess would be kidnapped. This tower would be harder than the previous one, having even more challenges. Eventually, they would catch up with the betrayers and find out the real reason why they left, and among that, they also found out why the king has become corrupt. Down below on the surface, the previous military members that got on the top and helped Jill finish off the boss planned a revolt. Military and climbers alike teamed together to fight back to a corrupt government. At the very top, they would resolve the king's dilemma, but not before one of them betrays them again and gets their hand on the true blue rod, sending everyone plummeting down and starting an attack. This time, Jill and his party would have to climb the tower once again to defeat this person, getting to the top and having a full-on conflict with them. So that's the main plot. Let me tell you about the characters. Jill, the leader and the MC. He is a guardian. What is a guardian? Well, it's the role for people who protect their group. The shield. Jill, very young and inexperienced. A typical foolish MC, but I will say, a bit more tame than others. He's a pure innocent soul, trying to climb the tower for the sole purpose to kill Druaga. Kaya, she's a mage, but only good with support magic. She's kind and full of hope, but quite mysterious. Ame, she's the only member in the team with experience. She's the quiet type and one of the most serious in the group, at least as much as you can be, and has a stoic demeanor, being the role model for the group. Melt, the oldest from the team, that comes from nobility. He's very arrogant and entitled, quite the narcissist. Also a magic user. Koopa, his personal servant. Why? Because her bloodline has been serving his for generations. She's kind-hearted, very silly, with an ecstatic personality. But even for a kid, she's more mature than Melt. No one should take this out of context, okay? anime, especially because of experiences, from taking care of Mel's mistakes, making food for the group, and often taking care of him like a child. Now that we've covered the main cast, let's talk about the side characters. Niba is the leader of the previous group Jill was a part of, and Jill's older brother. He is smart, rationally grounded, serious, and silent. Weapon is a bow. Fatina is the only girl on this team. She's a mage with a gun that shoots fire, and very loyal, supportive, but rough around the edges, very confident about her abilities. Utu, a man covered in full armor, wields an axe, loves spooky stories, and has a good duo with Callie. Callie, the last member of this team, he's silly and quite the pervert, and the scout of the team. There's nothing much really for him. That's about it. The two remaining main members are in the military, Kelb and Itana, both proud members of the military and stand for the king. Kelb himself is very proudful, a general and the leader that people follow. Itana is his second hand, a bit more shy but smarter than Kelb. There is the king and some new members in season 2, but for now I'll only talk about these because they are main characters. So what did I like about this? What's there to enjoy? I would say the mystery surrounding the show is quite nice, and the twist near the end. I will say the plot points are predictable, but overall, some stuff just doesn't make sense until the show shows you. I personally like the mysteriousness about it, but that might disappoint some people or just make it intolerable. Next was that the anime actually has character deaths. It's not a rare thing to see, but it's also not common, especially among the main cast. I also like the character dynamic between these groups. It really helps you to invest yourself into these characters, and if you fall quickly for these characters, like I do, you'll probably be crying like I was. Animation wise, it's fine, especially for its time. Nothing that will take your socks off, but most definitely better than some animes, especially nowadays. Now let's switch over to points that I dislike, or could be a turn away for many people. Some points I've heard is it's very generic, and as someone who spent their time scrolling Crunchyroll, watching what I call filler animes, I can say that this is somewhat generic. Some things about it have old shonen tropes. I do think that affects the show, but personally that didn't bother me that much. The plot itself was a bit messy and not too controlled, but once again, if you aren't a fan of the games or too invested in the plot hole surrounding the story, it's a very fun watch. The biggest problem I think everyone has is that there is little to none character development. After the time skip, we do get some scenes with Fatina and her mental state after being betrayed, but it lasts very short. The balance between comedy and serious was pretty bad in my opinion. If you're not like me, you'll probably appreciate an anime being funny and comedic. I mean, I like Konosuba and other funny animes, but this humor was just not for me. If you like comedy, you'll probably appreciate the first half and hate when it switches to serious in season 2. But personally, I was glad it became more serious. Some comedy is good, but the switch between both was kind of annoying. So overall, that is my likes and dislikes. So now you might be asking, why did I choose this? Specifically for this video. After all, I could have chosen something like Kick-Ass instead. Maybe it's because I forgot about it halfway through and I couldn't look back. Maybe. But because the entire universe is based off a game about a hero. The king. The first season, the king represents what drives the soldiers to climb the tower even if it causes their death. A symbol for their ideals and what they aim for, telling them to be great. My second point is Jill. He is a noble heart, someone with flaws, but betrayed the traits of a hero. For his own moral code, he won't let anyone die no matter what. He fights for his ideals. He isn't driven by greed, but by passion to be the hero, like Gilgamesh. In this story, from what I can tell, he isn't the chosen one, but a fool with hopes and dreams, willing to sacrifice, willing to climb the very top of the tower to save others, having that incredible trait stated from earlier. With all that to account, I give this show a good 7.8 salts out of a 10. A fun watch when you have nothing else on your hands. I would recommend, unless you're a very hard critic, you might not like it then.
Now that I gathered evidence and shown an example of what a hero is, I'm here to answer the question, why we need heroes. Now to go back to LeBerg, he said people need to remind themselves of their hero, to meet their ideals and belief, to aim to be better. Neiman said, heroism is something people strive for. People use heroes to aim higher, that the quote, be realistic lowers expectations and decreases value. Basing my own conclusion off these points, I say hero is not only to better our community, but to better ourselves. Heroes do what is right, at least what they think is right. They fight for their justice, ideals, the rights and wrongs. There's a reason people idolize Spider-Man. Even though he's fictional, he shows great strength in his decisions. Not because he's a hero with strong abilities, but at the very core of him is a human with moral standing. He doesn't stop, and even breaks laws if that means his actions can meet his expectations. The best example of this, I will say, is Skyline. A normal everyday guy that goes out every day in Albuquerque. His main goal is to better and inspire the community. A person that has no gain from it, making the world a better place, pushing his idea of heroism to another level. I think he's an amazing example of what a hero should be, pushing past life experience. He might not be the strongest, he might not be the smartest, but he sure damn is a hero. You see, I have no other words than that. Sacrifices what is probably the most important thing, time. Spends his time going around and doing the best he can. He might not be a person with a divine gift, but a great hero we should all inspire to be. Hero is a title given to anyone. That doesn't just have to go with someone who fights for justice, but a sign of inspiration for others. The term has been mixed up, and it's hard to see what makes a hero or not. The main core of why people need a hero comes farther than just simple courage, but the trait no one can describe. Now that might make no sense, but look at your hero. Are they fictional? Maybe it's a family member, or someone great like a celebrity. No matter what, this is what keeps you aiming for a goal when nothing else can. It's not just a simple desire for fame or money, but something you can't explain. For me, I look up to those people who made my childhood, who made random videos just to entertain people's days. I aim for a higher level of myself just because my goal is to be someone great. I might not be a fairy tale hero that kills a dragon, but once I make it to the top, no one else can tell me otherwise. So I'm not telling you to go out there and change the world, but to be an inspiration, to be great. Aim for higher goals. Fight for what you believe is right. Because a hero combines the bridge of the is and the ought. Strive to be the hero we all want to be. Remember, the title hero isn't for everyone, but anyone can be a hero.
Hey there, welcome back to another ending here. Whatever this is. I just want to say thank you all for my last video and all that. And the first thing I want to point out here is that while I was making this video, depending on where you watch the Tower of Druaga, the content might be cut depending on where you watch it. I didn't see the first real episode of season 2 until I was working on it or watching on Crunchyroll, and then when I gathered the footage, I could see there was a difference where an episode was supposed to be. Next thing I want to point out is that with this video, I might as well put my own goal. I feel like I should be aiming for something. I won't go too ambitious, so maybe at least 500 subscribers. You know, gather myself up and then change it every time I go up. And if you enjoyed and made it this far, maybe consider subscribing and liking the video. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying my best to become a YouTuber. It's been my dream for a while, so hopefully I can. Next thing is I probably will expand my content eventually. I just have no ideas or anything. For now, it's just reviews and video essays. Last thing here I want to say is that I changed editing styles for my audio, so hopefully it doesn't sound too bad. I just added more spacing because the way I had it is I wanted a faster paced video, but it didn't seem too good. And a lot of people said it didn't sound well. So I changed it up, and hopefully if you guys like that better, you comment down below. I would really like to know which version of it is better. Anyways, if you're new here, consider subscribing. And if you're kind of new here and subscribed from my last video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But enough yapping. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.